When does Snow White come out?
Or what?
They're leaning into woke. Hardcore.
They're petrified of some kind of backlash.
They are pretending like Rachel Zegler is the first of them all when she looks like Lord Farquaad in the film.
And it's going to fail cataclysmically.
I think so too. I think
I watched some of the previews. It's ugly as sin.
The movie is doing catastrophically. They spent $300 million and it currently has a 2.2 out of 10 rating on IMDb.
You know the saying, go woke, get broke, and Disney's going to lose money on this movie. And I believe it only made less than $1 million in China.
But I was basically the only person in the theater. Very few people wanted to see this. Even the little kids who like Disney movies, even they don't seem to be turning up in droves for the movie because the movie is really, really bad. The movie was absolutely terrible. It's not the single worst movie I've ever seen, but in every way that the movie differed from the beloved 1937 original, it was worse.
I wanted my money back. It was very disappointing.
She has been sabotaging this film for years at this point.
You actually don't want to know what celebrities think politically.
Now, I'm guessing that she's not married. I'm guessing that she doesn't have kids. The movie is a complete disaster, by the way.
I'm so disappointed in Disney.
Every way that Disney changed the story, it changed it for the worse.
There's a reason why the public has shifted. If you can't avoid this movie, you absolutely should because it's absolute trash.
Disney also abolished its famous princes and princesses because they're gender stereotypes. Really? Can't we just have princes and princesses anymore?
So apparently, according to them and according to the writers of Snow White, women can't even want to be in love anymore.
It's a f***ing princess movie. Can we just get to true love's kiss and happily ever after?
Who wants a movie about true love? What kind of woman do we want out there seeking true love, Eliana? It's the outrage.
Most Disney remakes spark a little controversy, but this one ignited an inferno of outrage that left everyone asking, what went so horribly wrong? Forget the rosy marketing. The moment she opened her mouth about the original's creepy themes, the internet lit up with disbelief. Fans didn't just cringe, they went ballistic. Tradition means something, even to casual viewers who barely remember the 1937 classic. Critics piled on, calling her comments arrogant and ignorant. Nobody expected such blatant disregard for Disney's own legacy. Suddenly, the film's core audience felt betrayed. People who grew up loving the old classic watched in horror as the lead actress trashed its most iconic moments. Meanwhile, the studio tried to spin it. They hinted at a bold, modern approach. But fans suspected these changes were meant to overshadow the star's toxic sound bites. That plan backfired big time. Instead of creating buzz, it created backlash.
Cry me a river. She's just exactly everything that we can't stand.
Rachel Zegler, like so many kids raised on TikTok, she's all for infantada is the only global solution.
So she comes off as an insufferable, whiny brat.
The new Disney boss babe, who is Rachel Zegler, the inverse of happy.
Rachel Zegler, she's an...
Rachel Zegler is extraordinarily woke, but she's woke in a way that's quite deranged.
She's also just a spoiled, entitled, narcissistic brat.
No one on the right side of America can stand the star of this movie.
As the film's release neared, interview after interview surfaced, each more controversial than the last. The arrogance became a topic all its own. Worse yet, clips emerged of her mocking the prince's role. She called him unnecessary and insinuated that the old storyline was archaic.
You know, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Weird. She's not going to be safe with the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love.
Oh my God.
These big bad feminists now are telling us that's ridiculous. How dare you want to meet a handsome prince and be swept off of your feet and live happily ever after? No, you should want to be the prince. You should want to go out and fight the bad guys with a sword.
So no prince or a different kind of prince?
I'm sure a lot of people will assume it's a love story just because, like, we cast a guy in the movie. Right. Andrew Burnap, great dude. Yeah. All of Andrew's scenes could get cut. Who knows? It's Hollywood, baby.
Who the hell are you to say all of Andrew's scenes could get cut? Like, who are you?
Oh my God.
Are you Disney? I've read your book, and I have. It's a phenomenal book. You're losing generation of loyal viewers. When you think about Snow White, what is the premise? What is the story?
It's a love story. It's a love story.
It's a dream for a girl to grow up and a man falls in love.
I'm really upset that the biggest theme here is that it's anti-men. She called him a stalker.
Then came opening weekend, a box office bloodbath. Theaters across the country sat nearly empty, save for the occasional unsuspecting family. Word spread like wildfire. This wasn't just a mild disappointment, it was a train wreck of epic proportions. Her own social media didn't help. Instead of acknowledging the lukewarm reception, she posted a clip of herself in an empty theater, laughing. Some called it a weird flex. Others labeled it the height of narcissism. Everyone agreed it was a disaster in the making.
To film herself in a theater, totally empty, giggling, tee-hee-heeing with total glee. Look at this. Look at this face. What can be said about this level of narcissism here?
Rumors swirled that producers and directors started rethinking her involvement in future projects. She was pegged to voice a character codenamed Spiral in an upcoming animated sequel. That role reportedly vanished like smoke in the wind. Talk of a potential reboot for a famous pirate franchise also cooled. Nobody wants an actor who can't keep the PR machine running smoothly.
They flew an executive, one of the producers, out to go visit personally with Rachel Zegler to say, could you please take that down? Because we understand you can have your political views, but those aren't really helpful while you're trying to build an audience for a movie. But like, maybe not, maybe just take the tweet down. And she wouldn't. And then they had to hire a special media consultant for her to follow her around all the time and make sure she didn't continue on Snow White and the Prince and young love and women who want to get married. The son of that producer who got on the plane to go over and say, would you please, for the love of God, take this down? And she wouldn't, was all on Instagram yesterday admitting it all.
And then Jonah Platt, who's the son of the producer of the film, responded and said, you really want to do this? Yeah, my dad, the producer of an enormous piece of Disney IP with hundreds of millions of dollars on the line, had to leave his family to fly across the country to reprimand his 20-year-old employee for dragging her personal politics into the middle of promoting the movie for which she signed a multi-million-dollar contract to get paid and do publicity for. This is called adult responsibility and accountability, and her actions clearly hurt the film's box office. Free speech does not mean you're allowed to say whatever you want in your private employment without repercussions. Tens of thousands of people worked on that film, and she hijacked the conversation for her own immature desires at the risk of all the colleagues and crew. Believes that she should be able to express herself regardless of the consequences to everybody else. In reality, you have a job. You're getting paid to do this job. You signed on the dotted line. And that job comes with certain basic responsibilities. One of the most basic is the responsibility to control yourself and comport yourself a certain way publicly so that you don't harm the project and thereby harm all the hundreds of other people who are working on it.
So what do you think the odds are of this person working ever again?
A film can survive mediocre storytelling, but not a months-long PR nightmare courtesy of its leading lady. Even mainstream news outlets picked it up. Headlines blared about the fiasco. Disney's top brass tried last-minute damage control. But the damage was done. Fan forums fumed with betrayal. Nobody wanted a preachy lecture from someone who seemed to mock the very elements they once adored. In a bizarre twist, the meltdown overshadowed the film's actual content. Whether it had redeeming moments became irrelevant. Soon, rumors circulated that certain co-stars were equally frustrated. The negativity apparently seeped into every stage of production. By the time official reviews rolled in, they mirrored the public outrage. Critics called it a soulless remake, a misguided venture, and an insult to the original.
And accusing Disney of inserting unnecessary feminism into classic fairy tales.
The movie has a major identity crisis.
This is just so typical of the left. The progressives always finding a way to find their way back to doing something not progressive.
It really does seem to me that this is like a 19-year-old's version of feminism. You've got to reject men. They have to be painted as toxically masculine. You have to spit on true love. Like that is not a value that is universal. You've got to get rid of the love storyline and focus more on how she wants to be CEO of IBM.
They replace the prince with a common criminal. So there is a prince-like figure, but he's no longer a prince. He's a criminal. They clearly want to diminish the love story. I think after the backlash from those comments a year and a half ago, whenever they were, they did beef up the love story a little bit, but nevertheless, he plays an ancillary role.
It's got extra musical numbers that are incredibly unnecessary that really add to that runtime. And let me go ahead and let you know that they're absolutely f***ing atrocious.
Disney deleted Someday My Prince Will Come and made a modernized feminist alternative.
They say all you have to do to make your wish come true is let it echo, 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 echo.
The meltdown also opened a broader debate. Should classics be modernized or left untouched? And if modernized, how do you respect the original? Her approach offered no respect. just dismissive remarks about the old storyline. If she'd toned down the condescension, maybe fans would have given the remake a chance. Instead, the negativity spiraled out of control. Even casual observers, who didn't care much for the original, found her remarks off-putting. As the flop became official, insider chatter claimed the studio had to eat massive losses. The marketing budget alone rivaled the GDP of small countries. Some speculated that heads would roll in the executive suite. Others joked that she might never land another big role, at least not anytime soon. Hollywood can be forgiving, but not when a star mocks the very audience her film relies on. Arrogance is the fastest ticket to a career slump. Few tried to defend her, even those who wanted to found it difficult. How do you justify disrespecting a beloved property for the sake of modern feminism, only to watch your audience vanish? Apologists said she was just giving her honest opinion, but there's a difference between honesty and insults. Fans found her statements condescending, as though she believed herself too enlightened to appreciate a classic children's story. Then came the Trump event, an explosive political rally that might have been an unrelated news juggernaut under normal circumstances. Instead, it piled onto the PR chaos, giving critics fresh ammo.
So she came out and took a large dump on half of the country, everyone who voted for Trump.
President Rachel Zegler also posted, F Trump kinds of posts on social media. She also said that she hoped that Trump supporters, quote, never know peace.
It's strange to see the Hollywood celebrity crowd subordinate their art ethically to politics.
It's fear. It's fear.
We have a really important presidential election for you to vote for Kamala Harris. And it's actually non-negotiable. Our rights are on the line, folks. And if you disagree with this sentiment, just hit the unfollow button. I don't need your business. Thanks.
She wasn't able to quantify or to say what Kamala stood for, what the Democrats were going to bring into place.
But you are not entitled to call for Trump supporters to be harmed. You are actually not entitled to do that. And so let me just remind you, Rachel Zegler, of what the map looks like, just so you can understand when your Disney movie is coming out, how many people you are wishing harm upon. This is America right now. I will love you through these 4 years as best I can. F Donald Trump. Yeah, totally stable thing for her to be posting, wishing harm upon Trump voters, wishing that we have no peace.
People drew parallels between the star's meltdown and the charged atmosphere of that gathering, claiming she'd torched her own career just as spectacularly as the rally fueled tensions. Suddenly, it wasn't just about a failing film. It was about how her reckless statements and that event both stoked controversy. By the time official numbers confirmed the flop, many were unsurprised. Her lack of respect for the material dominated every conversation. Nobody wanted to give the remake a fair shake after hearing her snarky tirades. Disney rushed to tweak marketing in response to the backlash. But a patch job can't fix a sinking ship when the iceberg is your own lead actress. The fiasco also sparked fresh debates about corporate oversight. How could a studio like Disney let this happen? Whatever the reason, the meltdown overshadowed anything resembling cinematic artistry. Even if the movie had been decent, her attitude ruined any chance for unbiased reception. Some fans who did watch said the film was watchable but unimpressive. Yet all the talk was about her interviews, not the content on screen. That's the tragic irony. This could have been a typical Disney remake. Maybe not a masterpiece, but a surefire box office success due to brand recognition. Instead, it's now synonymous with negativity. People bring it up as an example of how to alienate your audience before the film even premieres. The meltdown also sparked a wave of viral clips. Fans compiled all her most arrogant quotes and spliced them together, creating a highlight reel of cringe. These edits racked up millions of views. Comments ranged from unbelievable to this can't be real, but it was. Amid the storm, she kept posting, doubling down with sarcastic remarks and half-jokes that did nothing to quell the outrage. And the consequences came swiftly. Lost opportunities, negative press, and a tarnished reputation. All because she couldn't resist calling the original storyline archaic and dismissing the prince as irrelevant. Let's be honest, some aspects of old fairy tales might seem outdated, but fans expect a respectful update, not a tone-deaf teardown from someone who cashed the paycheck. The meltdown resonates beyond this single film. It raises the question, how much do fans tolerate from a lead actor before they tune out completely? Historically, big names have survived controversies, but this meltdown is unique. She targeted the heart of Disney's identity while mocking its loyal fan base. Producers talk about brand synergy. She created brand dissonance. The result was empty seats and a flood of negative online chatter. At this point, any potential sequel or spin-off is laughable. The audience walked away, shaking their heads in disappointment. She might try the classic Notes app apology route. But once trust is broken, it's not easily rebuilt. No doubt she has talent. She can sing, dance, and act. But overshadowing that talent with dismissive arrogance is a fast track to irrelevancy. Meanwhile, Disney faces yet another PR crisis. After multiple box office stumbles, they've now got this meltdown overshadowing what was meant to be a jewel in their remake crown. Commentators wonder if these repeated flops will finally push Disney to rethink its strategy. Probably not, but her meltdown might force them to consider stricter casting and promotional oversight. Critics hammered the final nails in the coffin, dismissing the film as bland at best and insulting at worst. Even if the movie had a few decent moments, nobody cared enough to find out. There's a lesson here about respecting the core audience and the legacy you inherit. It's not rocket science. Today, the fiasco remains a prime example of negative hype overshadowing a film's potential. People will reference it for years when warning new stars about the dangers of careless commentary. Hollywood may forgive, but the public rarely forgets. Is there a path to redemption? Possibly, but it requires humility, genuine remorse, and maybe a long break from social media. The conversation now shifts to the future of these remakes. Will studios tighten their control, muzzle outspoken actors, or reconsider these reboots altogether? This meltdown might force them to do all three. Some fans pity her, believing she never grasped the weight of a Disney classic. Others say she's simply reaping what she sowed. Regardless, the meltdown stands as a massive misfire that overshadowed an entire production. There's no sugarcoating that reality. Even casual Disney observers find the meltdown fascinating. It's a masterclass in how one person's hubris can overshadow an entire production. If there's any silver lining, it's that future remakes might tread more carefully. Or maybe we'll see this disaster repeated, because Hollywood rarely learns the easy way. Everyone loves a scandal, sure. But the magnitude of this fiasco, combined with the swirling controversies from that Trump event, left audiences reeling. It was like two storms colliding into one massive PR nightmare for Disney's leading lady. So here's the final question for you. Does she deserve a shot at redemption, or should Hollywood close the chapter on this fairy tale gone wrong?